What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with a Euphoria breakdown. This is going to be my video breakdown for episode 4. I am so excited. Episode 4 is giving the original Euphoria steez. We back. 2 and 3. Sam was... But... Episode 4 did not disappoint. I'm so excited to deep dive and get into it. Before I do though, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, you turn on your bell notification so that you don't miss any of my Euphoria content, because I will be doing episode breakdowns every week. We're going to be going live to talk about the show, and then I'm about to get into these character breakdowns because Cassie, my good sis Cassie, we gotta talk, mama. And as you're watching this video, don't be afraid to go down in the comment section and post a comment, a reply, a thought, a prediction, agree, disagree, whatever your heart desires. Go down in the comment section and let me know how you're feeling, because I will be down there replying to you as well. But without further ado, let's get into this Euphoria breakdown. Okay, so the episode opens on Jules going down on Rue, a very high Rue. And while seeking a bit of validation, or hell, even a small reaction, maybe, Jules is met with a, "It feels amazing," as Rue spaces out to a place where we see them as some historic romantic couples in the media. I'm talking about Rose and Jack from Titanic, Snow White and Prince Charming, and the guys from Brokeback Mountain, and more. And when we come back to reality, we get more context as Jules cannot get Rue to climax because she can't feel a thing. Rue literally says she might as well be going down on my ankle. Ma'am. Rue proceeds, once she starts to realize that Jules is wanting something from her. She been doing this for a while. How long I gotta be down here? She proceeds to fake an orgasm. And this is the first time that she's actually experienced this, or that this has ever happened. So not only does she not know what it's supposed to feel like, but she also don't know what it's supposed to sound like or what she's supposed to do. So it's the most distinct, clear, fake orgasm ever that ultimately sends Jules questioning if Rue is even into her or is attracted to her. And this is something that she shares with Elliot. In this episode, y'all, we get to watch Jules and Elliot get very close. Closer than close. Too damn close, if you ask me. Elliot reassures her though that it isn't that Rue isn't attracted to her. It really might just be that she don't know how to eat the box. And Jules responds, "That makes me feel like a guy." I absolutely loved that bit of dialogue. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. The nuance in it. This is when I knew. I was like, okay, Sam ain't come to play in this episode. He really ain't come to play. Elliot proceeds to teach Jules how to give head with their hands, and it creates an endearing moment of intimacy that leads them to their first kiss. Now, we saw this coming. Yes, Jules, you was all on that boat. You was on that train of, I don't like Elliot just from seeing him because I know that he wants you, Rue. He got a crush on you. He be looking at you and this and this and this and that. But Elliot is really a cool guy, aside from the fact that he's also an addict. He's cool. From the kiss to full-on makeout session, and the chemistry is jumping through the screen before they are interrupted by a text from Rue, who is outside. And this is why I did not want Rue and Jules to get back together. Because as I recall, and again, I gotta go and rewatch season 1, y'all, because I have been slipping. I said I was gonna do it and I haven't done it just yet, but I'm going to. I know that Jules is not responsible for Rue relapsing, but she a piece. She might be a small piece, but she's a piece. And this is why I didn't want them back together. All of what we're seeing right now is what I didn't want to happen. After the title card, we enter Maddy's house birthday party as Cassie carries her cake while flashing through moments of her with Nate in her mind. After the cake is passed to Maddy, we flash through the moments of them reuniting from last episode when he brought her flowers. Cassie gives Maddy an amazing photo album for her birthday, and the slow blues track that is scoring this part intensifies the tension and all of the emotions that seem to be boiling up to the surface when it comes to Cassie. I love the cut to in the moments where we're flashing back to what happened between Maddy and Nate, and they're having this conversation about love, and Maddy's like, "Did you know that I loved you?" I'm not talking about obsessing or fighting, or I'm talking about love. Did you feel loved by me? Come on, dialogue. Literally, Sam was not playing with this dialogue in this episode. He's coming with banger after banger after banger, and I was just sitting there like, Inquiring minds want to know, Nate, because half of the reasons why you're trash out here in these streets is because you don't feel love. Meanwhile, there are people around you trying to love you the best way that they know how, and it's not even your fault. It's your little raggedy parents' fault. But at this point, you're coming of age and you're becoming a man and you're making certain decisions and you know better. You're still not doing better, so you're still trash, and I hate you, but still answer the question. I'm just saying. Cassie having her girl interrupted moment with Nate after he tells her about him meeting up with Maddy was just beyond. If Cassie walked into season 2 with sense, she literally grabbed it out of her head, balled it up, and threw that shit in the trash. I'm just saying. She jumps back and forth from her high horse saying that she's protecting her best friend who doesn't deserve this toxic relationship, and herself who feels like she does deserve the love that they actually share. Cassie, baby. Do you hear yourself, honey? Lexi is playing fly on the wall, infusing her play Oklahoma with all of the experience she and her sister are having in this episode, and the jumps back and forth from audition to the actual moment where Cassie arrives back home and she's feeling judged, she's feeling observed, she's feeling like eyes all on her. Brilliant. Utterly brilliant. Cal starts this episode off drunk and spiraling, or should I say unraveling. He tells Nate he's the part of him that he will never understand. And that's interesting because Nate is literally Cal 30 years in the past. Elliot's feelings for Jules are growing rapidly, so much so that he skips the bump that Rue left for him in the bathroom just to get back to the brewing throuple these three are definitely headed towards. The girls take turns having moments with him under the guise of making each other jealous, and this just feels like a big hot dumpster fire that is brewing. I feel a fight over Elliot coming on, and I hate it for them. But we got bigger fish to fry because Rue is absolutely out of her mind in this episode, and we're gonna get to that. Though only a minute, we get a piece of Cat in this episode where she finally reveals what's going on with her to Maddy. And I love the dialogue that Maddy used. Yes, she used the R word, but even how the response is within it, it lets it know like this is not actually okay, and it's actually confronting this idea, which I love. I thought it was brilliantly used. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it, but the dialogue in this episode was brilliant. But Maddy says there's a difference between what you think you should want and what you actually want. Do what feels good to you. This little moment makes me wonder if Cassie was actually honest with Maddy about her feelings and what she got going on. Would she have this sage advice for her? You know, since we getting mature Dr. Phil, Maddy and all. Nate knocks on the door to come to the party, and Cassie opens it up and he just asks like, is Maddy here? Sir, you came to the house party for Maddy's birthday party with your Tiffany's necklace. Of course she's here. And you see this girl that you've been smashing for weeks. But Cassie, you just gonna let this boy continue to play you? Do we need to go back an episode to the hallway? Let's go back because it makes me crack up every single time. When confronted with Nate's physical presence and not just the rumblings of if Nate is going to show up and potentially call her bluff about telling Maddy, Cassie begins to spiral quicker, non-stop chugging every alcoholic beverage she can find. The birthday scenes are interjected with scenes of Rue and Jules and Elliot in the car, fresh off of their White Claw convenience store caper, and Cal living his best drunken life, driving towards the dive bar that we saw in last week's episode when we flash back to his graduation era when he fell in love with Derek, or had his first moment with Derek. It was absolutely beautiful, and he's going to go reclaim that in this episode. Nate gives Maddy this Tiffany's necklace, and with each look, touch, and seemingly sweet moment between Nate and Maddy, Cassie watches on, looking like she's ready to suffer a nervous breakdown. That is what happens when you somebody who is not your man, and he's your best friend's man. Don't forget that part. Things come to a head in the car with Rue and Jules when Rue starts to drink and Jules checks her because of that. High out her mind, Rue tells Jules that she can't stand her. And that's a blow that even hit me. Like, I was just like, but we love you. Jules, you deserve better, honey. You deserve better. This blow was even more devastating than you can imagine because Jules is already struggling with feeling like Rue isn't really even attracted to her. That whole moment was deeply hurtful and accurately depicted the lack of empathy, compassion, and self-awareness drug addicts have, especially when in the midst of the fall to their rock bottom. The people they love, cherish most, become insignificant specks on the search for the feeling of their next high, and their relationships suffer because of it. Cal's scenes at the dive bar reminiscing about the night after graduation with Derek were utterly brilliant until things go awry. In the moment, Cal is able to release fully and conjure up memories and feelings and love he felt back then, and it awakens something within himself that won't let him to continue to live his life in this moment the way that he's living it. His freeing moment at the dive bar is intercut repeatedly with Cassie's drunken dance. While Cal raises in his self-awareness and freedom, Cassie plunges into the darkest part of her, given the emptiness and neglect she feels, lashing out with reciting the song lyrics viscerally and tossing her body about. Things at the dive bar go awry or get interesting when Cal takes a stranger into his arms, imagining it's Derek, putting his deep trance on full display. And it's the most honest that we have seen him, I think, in the entire series. Well, it would have been the most honest time that we've seen him in the entire series if he didn't follow it up after being tossed out of the bar and banned from trying to wrestle patrons because the guy that he thought was Derek wasn't actually Derek, and you can't just be wrestling folk, Cal. But then he returns home, pisses all over the floor, and is declaring his homosexuality and conflicted nature to his wife and sons. That's the most honest moment that we've ever seen from Cal. And you know what? I love that for him. I truly do. Episode 3 told us Cal's backstory and was an attempt to better humanize and redeem him. But it was not until this episode that I actually started to give a damn. Though not full accountability, it was a start and a beautiful moment of abandoning the facade that you constructed to protect you from this world that you still feel so constricted and suffocated in. Like, come on out this closet, Cal. After Rue demands to be dropped off and the crew splits, we see her return home to take more drugs, and Jules joins Elliot at home for a sleepover. Jules is still processing the disrespect and dismissal thrown at her by Rue, and Rue's drug intake hurls her into a state of limbo and psychological connection where she's able to see her father. The father fantasy sequence felt like death, as in Rue being kind of like called home, which could be brought on by an overdose that she may or may not be experiencing within that moment. It's really not clear as you're watching it. We spend a good amount of time with Rue and her father where she's able to say, "I'm sorry I let you down. I miss you so much." And it's unclear, but we are left to assume that this church and the cuts with the visuals of Rue holding her dad are indicators of her cause for the addiction being her grief for the loss of her father. We pull back out of the fantasy to finally see a dazed, swaying Rue, who has yet to overdose, but is definitely on another level of her addiction, and specifically in this moment, her drug consumption. Maddy and Nate have a quick argument about the fact that they are not back together, brought on by a drunk Cassie who stumbles into the hot tub barely coherent. She then starts to projectile vomit, listening to Maddy describe all of the things that Nate has said to her since they reconnected. That shit was nasty. At this point, she is screaming, "I'm sorry," hysterically, and unbeknownst to everyone else, it has nothing to do with the projectile vomit and everything to do with the fact that she has been and fallen in love with Nate for several weeks now. Fez gets a surprise visit, but honestly, y'all, Fez has a very small part in this episode. He's very concerned by the end of it, and after watching it 2 times, I still wasn't able to catch what was said, and I'm just going to say, hopefully he's good for the next time because there was so much other stuff happening. Let me know in the comment section down below what was the problem with Fez and old boy coming over randomly. Okay. There are various moments in the episode when I thought that Cal would die. If it wasn't for the reckless driving, then maybe the potential bar fight. He spent the night on edge but didn't fall off, and I wonder if he's going to wake up tomorrow a better person for it. Elliot feels compelled to tell Jules that Rue is not sober after she tries to sleep with him post her shower and during their little sleepover. This for me is the benchmark as to where Elliot's feelings are for Jules, because the truth hurts, and the fact that he felt so compelled to say it is really because he deeply cares about her. While he has decided to slow down with the drugs, Rue is full steam ahead, and there may be no stopping that train now that it has left the station. Now, I want to highlight a few of the pieces of dialogue from Cal within his like drunken declaration within his home, because again, I thought the dialogue in this episode was truly brilliant. Sam, you knocked it out the park with that. But he comes in, he's like, "I think I'm lonely. I am who I am. I'm a rogue. I march to the beat of my own drum. You know how many men I like." He literally just like spews out all of this stuff, and while it's horrifying and cringe to hear, honestly, I felt like it all needed to be said. It all needs to be put out there. And his loved ones need to know exactly who he is, including all of the dark, nasty skeletons. And he even winds up calling out his sons like, yo, I see your porn history. Marsha, I know about that letter. Like, we all have things. Like, let's cut the bull and let's be real with each other. Now, why he left the house and he said this is goodbye, I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't go on to kill himself, because we saw in the previous episode that he was like envisioning that with the idea of this tape getting out. But he grabs the family picture and then he leaves, and I'm like, go find Derek. Somebody find Derek for Cal. We need Derek to be in this season so that Cal can get his mind right. And then we need to find some like little safety blanket, emotional support animal or something for Nate so that he can stop being trash too. And then we're halfway there. Next up after that, get Rue to stop doing drugs. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that, y'all. We strong, but I don't know. The biggest piece of dialogue that really took me aback in this episode was when Cal said, living a double life is not my biggest regret. You are. And he pointed at Nate. Can somebody call a family therapist? Again, it was horrible to hear, but also I felt like it kind of needed to be said. I feel like Nate needed to tell his dad how much he hates his dad and how trash he is. Like, I feel like these people need to get this stuff out so that the healing can begin. Because all of this stuff that they're doing to others, all of the misery that they're inflicting on others is literally the manifestation of the misery that they have within themselves. And they're just going around spreading it. And if we could just go ahead and pull that out, heal from that, see it for what it is, take what you can, leave the rest, and then go on, everybody would be better for it. And y'all can stop being menaces. A family of menaces. Low-key, Marsha, I feel like you might be a menace too, sis, because you were not surprised when all this stuff started coming out of Cal's mouth. So you have known this whole time and you just sat there. Girl, the episode almost comes to a close with these epic cinematic shots of Maddy, Jules, and Elliot, Lexi, Cassie, and Kat, and Ethan. But where is Rue? The last words to be said in a voiceover before the episode completely closes is since before we ever existed. Child, this episode was really good. If I missed anything, let me know in the comment section down below and we can keep the conversation going. But I absolutely enjoyed it. I don't enjoy watching Rue spiral. I don't enjoy watching Rue head towards death, because I really do feel like that my spirit and soul is like, yo, this little kid is going to kill herself. She is out of control. She has no direction. She cares about nothing. I thought if anything, she cared about Jules. But she threw Jules to the side in this episode. By golly, Miss Molly, I don't know what is what. I absolutely love the scene with Kat and Maddy, and how Kat is like really trying to process the fact that she's supposed to be happy and having the thing that she said that she wanted and she's not. And that's confronting our shoulds and coulds and woulds versus what is. Like, if you're not, then figure out what the next thing is. If you arrive at a place that you thought you were supposed to be at and don't feel like how you thought it would feel, or it doesn't feel good to you, then go somewhere else. It's really that simple. Life is too short, and no, it's not easy, but it's doable. Again, I cannot fangirl over this episode enough. I would love for y'all to hit the subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications so that you don't miss any of my breakdowns, and I would love for you to let me know what you thought about the episode in the comment section down below. I will be coming with a preview and trailer breakdown for next week's episode, giving y'all some of my predictions on what I think is going to happen, as well as a couple pop-up character breakdowns. So be sure to subscribe with that bell on, because YouTube be tripping and you need to know. If you want to watch episode 3's breakdown and go ahead and catch up, you can do so right here. See you in the next one.